Hello and welcome back to my collection. Cabbage rolls. I grew up eating this dish and never got tired of it. Traditionally, this dish is made with fermented cabbage heads, but since I cannot find fermented cabbage heads here, I developed a way of making them which yields the same savory results. So let's get started. So first thing I have to do is boil the cabbage heads. I'm going to use 2 cabbage heads because I'm going to make a big pot, an 8-quart pot filled up with cabbage rolls. But before I boil them, I will remove that core from the center. This way the water will penetrate inside the cabbage head, softening the leaves on the inside. When it comes to boiling it, I'm going to boil the cabbage heads face down with the core portion down into the pot for about 10 minutes, just like that, and then flip it over on the other side for about 5 minutes, and that will be enough to soften the leaves. While the cabbage is boiling, I'm going to work on the next step. Here I have an onion. I'm going to chop the onion in smaller pieces. Then I'm going to go ahead and saute the onion in 1/4 cup of oil. To that, add 1 tablespoon of salt and saute it until the onion turns goldish in color. And then when that happens, go ahead and add the rice. I have 1 cup of rice that is washed already. Alright, get down. And then saute the rice for a little bit longer. Don't forget to add 1 teaspoon of black pepper. And then 2 tablespoons of vegeta. If you don't have vegeta, not a big deal. Chicken bouillon will do it. It's very similar in flavor. So saute a little longer. And then it's time for paprika. I love paprika. Sauteed paprika tastes so good. So 2 tablespoons of paprika. Saute it a little bit, but be careful not to over saute it. Don't burn the paprika because burnt paprika does not taste good. But if it's just rightly sauteed, it has an excellent flavor. So when it looks like this, nicely evenly distributed, go ahead and take it off the stove. Place it in the mixing bowl of a stand mixer and let it cool off. Back to the cabbage. The cabbage is boiled by now, so I have to safely remove it from the water and place it in those dishes on the side to cool off. The water that I boiled the cabbage in, I'm not going to throw away. I will keep this water because there's a lot of flavor in it from the cabbage. So I will use the water to boil the cabbage rolls in once I'm done with the cabbage rolls. The rice mixture has cooled off by now, and now I'm adding the meat. I have here 1 pound of ground pork and 1 pound of ground beef. I like to use the stand mixer to mix the two. I used to do it by hand before, but it's so tiring, and if the meat is a little bit cold, my hand will just freeze. So since I have the stand mixer, might as well make use of it and use it to mix the meat together. Back to the cabbage again. My cabbage is not cooled off completely, but I have no patience. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the leaves. The first couple of leaves are damaged, as you can see, but I'm not going to throw them away. I will put them in the bowl and save them because when I'm going to boil those cabbage rolls, I will cover the pot with the damaged leaves and the extra leaves that I have. This way the first row of cabbage rolls will not dry out during the boiling process. If you don't cover them up with the leaves, you might risk drying them out. As I'm detaching the leaves here, you can see me shaving off that stem. That's a very important step because if you don't shave off that stem and you start rolling up those cabbage leaves, it will be very difficult to roll up that part because it's very thick and it will literally crack or not allow you to fold it completely. And keep detaching the leaves and remove that stem. And sometimes what happens while you're detaching the leaves, there is still a little bit of the core left inside. Just take the knife and remove that core to be able to detach the leaves a little easier. And keep detaching the leaves and cutting that core until you're done with both cabbage heads. And then it's time to stuff the leaves, my favorite part. Here I have a jar of sauerkraut. What I will do, I'm going to take some of the sauerkraut and place on the bottom of this 8-quart dish that I'm going to boil the cabbage rolls in. And after that, I'm going to place a few bay leaves and a little bit of thyme. And now I'm ready to put the first row of cabbage rolls here. When it comes to stuffing the leaves, make sure you follow the natural curvature of the leaf, kind of facing up. And then put some meat at the base of the leaf and roll it up very gently, very loosely. Because if you roll it too tightly, when it comes to tucking up the sides of the leaf, I just push them inside, as you can see. If it's too tight, you won't be able to push the inside, and the leaf will literally crack, will burst. I know everybody has a different way of rolling them up. This way works for me very easily. So put some meat at the base of the leaf, roll it up very gently, tuck in the sides, just push it gently in. One hand holds the cabbage, the other hand pushes the leaves inside. And here it is. It's so simple. For me, this works very well. I know there are different techniques, but this is my way. One thing I want to mention is that if you overcook the leaves, the cabbage heads in the beginning, the leaves will be too soft and you will not be able to roll it up. They will literally crack on you. And if it's not boiled enough, then it will be too hard. You will not be able to roll them up. So for me, the 10-minute rule, 10-minute face down with the quart down and 5 minutes up during the boiling process seems to do it. And I like the variety of having different sizes of leaves. I know some people like to cut them to make them all equal, the same size, but for me, I like it this way because if you want to go for the second helping and you don't want to take a bigger cabbage roll, you can take the smaller one. So just roll it up gently, push in the sides, and it's time to put in a pot. It's very easy. Once you get a hang of it, it's not difficult at all. I don't have a right measurement of how much I put into the leaf because, like I said, they're all different sizes, so I just eyeball it. When you are done with the first layer of cabbage rolls and you place it in the pot there, take some of the bay leaves again and a little bit of thyme and another row of sauerkraut, and before you proceed with the next layer of cabbage rolls. I also wanted to mention that when you place the cabbage rolls into the pot for boiling, be sure to place them with the seam down. If the seam is up, when it boils, the cabbage roll will open up and you'll end up with leaves floating into the pot and the meat will come out of the leaf. So always place them with the seam down. And stack them up nicely next to each other. This way they don't have room to roll into the pot. So what do you think? Are you ready to try it? It's not difficult, really. Practice makes better. And before boiling, take all those leaves that you have extra and the damaged leaves from the beginning that you saved and cover up the cabbage rolls with those leaves. This way, when they boil, those leaves will prevent the cabbage rolls from drying out. When it starts boiling, go ahead and add 1 can of tomato juice. You can add the tomato juice even before boiling, it really doesn't matter. And then keep boiling it. This dish has to be boiled for about 3 hours. As it boils, the water will recede, so keep an eye on it, and as the water recedes, go ahead and add the water as needed. Otherwise, they will completely dry out. Boil it on low-medium heat, don't boil it on high. And here it is, 3 hours later, this should be done and ready to be served. These cabbage rolls taste awesome when you make it, but they also taste even better the next day. And what I like about this dish, you can make it, you can put it in a container and freeze it, and whenever you feel like having it, just take it out and defrost it and serve it. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you make it, let me know how it comes out. Enjoy.